While Wout van Aert, our beloved Belgian bot, swept to his third stage win in a magnificent Vuelta España for him, a teammate of his at Rabobank, the big signing of the season, someone who was going to be the next big thing in cycling, the Belgian Cian Uijtdebroeks crossed the finish line in penultimate position, more than 24 minutes behind his compatriot, totally exhausted and out of energy. And even worse are his statements insisting that his heart rate was not at the limit, but rather his legs were falling asleep. That he had supposedly arrived in good shape for the Vuelta, but now he's riding with swollen legs. We can't believe it. Surely not a new case of iliac artery condition, and only 21 years old? At least he will be able to ask his fellow podcaster Van Baarle where his partner Ferrand Prévot had her surgery on at least 2 occasions, and he will be able to take a substance or 2 via legal means while recovering to come back stronger than ever after 4 or 5 months off the roads. All our encouragement, Mr. Uijtdebroeks. We are sure that you will come back, and you will do so ready to win your first race as a pro. 2 more riders who will not be returning to this Vuelta are the rare Italian Giulio Ciccone, after suffering a crash due to a deer that got into the road, and also the Belgian Laurens de Plus, yet another victim of the cursed COVID-19. And he just found his best legs again in the mountains. Continuum Sports Italian Lorenzo Rota would not be taking the start line today either, after a crash during stage 9. As you can see, it's a tour full of misfortunes, and we fans don't want that. We want entertainment, like the kind that your Uncle Cycling Highlights will be serving up on Twitter. Follow us now at Uncle Cycling, and now we can tell you what this stage 11 of the Vuelta España has given us. The second Galician stage, and after taking the money from the Pontevedra deputation, the magician Javier Guillen would do the same with the one in La Coruña. 166 kilometers of medium mountain stage, with 4 mountain passes to climb. Climbing the same one twice in the middle of the day, and with a dangerous ascent to Cruceras only 8 kilometers from the finish line, a stage that starts and finishes in the same place. Padrón, a town famous for a variety of absolutely delicious peppers, ones which you can't tell if they're hot or not when you eat them. In fact, the start and finish are at the Centro Tecnológico Cortizo, one of the sponsors of the Vuelta España, and so, as they did last time with a shopping centre, favours have to be returned somehow, especially when Cortizo is the sponsor of a cycling club that is bringing out, in recent years, numerous Spanish promises and prodigies. Lots to talk about after making historic doubles and legendary shows. We all wondered if today anyone would dare to attack the whining leader O'Connor after yesterday's inaction, or if, on the contrary, we're going to see a new show by the Belgian bot on the way to a possible 4th stage win, and then he can dedicate it to Uijtdebroeks. Subscribe now and obviously stay until the end of the video to find out. The day started with 2 other long-suffering riders who've had to endure the cursed COVID-19. The first of them, Tijmen Arendsman, the promising Dutch rider of the Sky team that Laurens de Plus could have infected, poor thing, well, he had lost up to 5 kilos expressly before starting this Vuelta España so that he could perform better in the mountains. Will his dad complain on social networks as he is accustomed to do? The second, that was the Austrian from the Radio Shack team, Patrick Conrad, poor guy. After having escaped for more than 116 kilometers en route to Granada, he suddenly felt sick. Make sure you like this video if you're going to miss them. Now, after a fairly intense start of the stage, as in the previous day, we saw something quite different, without any superstars in the breakaway, much to the joy of a complaining O'Connor, who could imagine himself drawing a day closer to keeping the red jersey. It was the Belgian of the hair doping team, Xandro Meurice, who escaped at first to try to make a difference, but with a group of almost 40 riders, it was quite difficult to take advantage. Among the most prominent cyclists of this group of escapees, who got more than 6 minutes over the peloton, was the New Zealander who criticised the White Kenyan but is now his teammate in the team of the Jewish Israel Premier Tech, the American Brandon McNuggets. the Dutchman Steven Crispis, the Belgian Sincrosfera Kampenaerts, the very dangerous Asturian Pelayo Sanchez, the Ecuadorian champion Jonathan Narvaez, or the gringo, who has performed very well in this campaign, Matthew Riccitello. In general, this group was always under the command of another Sylvan Adams rider, Marco Frigo, and he kept the peloton at a fair distance, so that everything was set up to be decided on the final climb to the Cruceras Pass. There it was, Kern Farmer guest rider Urco Berardi, who launched a hard attack that only the former Italian champion, Orica's Filippo Zanna, and Sergio Palamonti's friend and YouTuber, affectionately nicknamed the Mascot, Carlos Verona, of the Radio Shack team, they were the only ones who could follow. Behind the man of no nationality, Alexander Vlasov worked as hard as ever for his Slovenian skier leader, and he set up a trio alongside the attacker Enric Mas for a small lead over the whining O'Connor. Soon afterwards, a group of several riders joined the Mas-Roglic pair, including the doped-up as a 16-year-old Dane, because he's always a Dane, Skjelmose Jensen. There was the dinosaur Mikel Landa, the Tramadolito hater David Gaudu, and the Spanish hope Carlos Rodriguez. On the descent, the leading trio couldn't gain enough advantage over the rest of the escapees, and despite the attempts of Urco Berardi or Carlos Verona, it was the Irishman, Eddie Dunbar, of the Orica team who took advantage of the presence of his teammate Zanna in the group to make the necessary attack to win his first World Tour competition and the best victory of his career after his triumph in the national time trial earlier this season. Behind, the king of the minions, together with the new Frenchman Pavel Sivakov, were trying to get closer to the Slovenian skiers group, for he was gaining more and more advantage over a whining O'Connor who kept losing time on a short but hard climb. Roglic is inching ever closer to cutting that difference between himself and O'Connor. The group of Roglic, the attacker Mas, the dinosaur Landa, the doped as a 16-year-old, the Tramadolito hater Gaudu, and the great Spanish hope all arrived at the finish line with a 15-second advantage over the king of the minions, and 37-second advantage over the crying leader of the race. And he can no longer count on the same differences between himself and a Slovenian skier, who now, well, he has to be the big favourite. Him and a group of Spaniards, eager to win a Grand Tour. The first Grand Tour for a Spaniard since 2015. That was when the legendary doper Alberto Contretrol won a Giro d'Italia. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content. Check out the Twitter @UncleCycling. And now, yes of course, stop by the video on the screen. Oh, you'll love it.